Hey guys, it's Martin Cliffe here, coming to you from my studio here in Hong Kong. You've not seen this view before. I was trying it out and I'm not sure I like it, but we'll see. I wanted to talk today, just briefly, it's not a Martin Rants video, I haven't done one of those since I left the UK, but I wanted to talk about a couple of the problems that I see as having a major negative impact on guitar playing these days. And the first one of those is quite simply the view of guitar playing as a competitive sport. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with being able to play really quickly or having amazing techniques. Absolutely not. Everyone wants to improve to their point, you want to reach your limits, really, I think, as a player. I think that's important. Push yourself far enough so you get to a status where you're happy with what you're playing with. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you can play faster than the next guy, if you can sweep pick better than the next guy, if you can do this, that or the other better than the next guy. All it matters is that you're living up to your potential. And in particular, but more than that, what matters more than anything is the quality of the musical expression that you're putting out, which I know sounds a bit hippie-ish and kind of cloud cuckoo and stuff, but at the end of the day, we're musicians. Guitar is music, it's not sport. So it's not about performance, it's about producing art, producing music. And so, let's step back and just take an example, okay? B.B. King, one of the best guitar players of all time. There will never be anyone quite like B.B. King. Ask him to shred and he wouldn't be able to do it. He wouldn't know where to start. He's not a fast player, but the music he produces can drive grown men to tears. That's how powerful his playing is. Now, I'm not saying that playing quickly is wrong. There are some really talented guitar players who can play really quickly, faster than I ever will be able to. I'm thinking of people like John Petrucci from Dream Theater, or Marty Friedman, or Chris Broderick from Megadeth. Really great players. Guthrie Govan's another one, who can play really quick and have amazing technique. But it's not the technique that makes them as a player, it's the musicality. I'm sure you've seen a million shredders on YouTube, and going back to the 80s and 90s when I grew up as a player, there were so many players who came about and maybe recorded an album or two and then just fell by the wayside, because at the end of the day people realised that they weren't producing very good music. They were amazing players, but they weren't producing very good music. And some of them have stood the test of time, and some people like them, and some people do genuinely like listening to shred. And there's nothing wrong with that. But it's at the end of the day, I think it's far more important to see the bigger picture, and that it's about the music. And if you can produce great music, then you're far more impressive to me as a player than if you can play it 30-second notes, 200 beats a minute or whatever. So there we go. So that's one problem I think that's affecting guitar playing at the moment. And the other one is a bit more specific, I guess, which is gear snobbishness. And this is something that really irritates me, because at the end of the day, again, it is kind of related, that it's not about the gear we use. I know some people with stunning guitar gear who aren't great players. They play for enjoyment, and again, I have no problem with that. But I know some amazing guitar players who play Squire Stratus or whatever it is. So it's affordable guitars. Now, I am fortunate. I have nice gear. I don't have amazing gear. I'm not playing 1950s Gibson Les Pauls through the Mesa Boogies and Bogners or vintage Foxes or anything like that. I have nice gear. My guitars, my Ibanez's are probably around about £600 each, thereabouts. So it's not beginner level gear. But at the end of the day, I think the sound I get out of them is pretty good. And what's more important than that, it's what fits my playing. I have owned more expensive guitars. I've certainly played much more expensive guitars, but I'm very happy with what I've got, which doesn't mean that I don't want other guitars, don't get me wrong. Yeah, we all want more. But I just get really irritated when people say, oh, you must suck, you only play a Korean Ibanez with £500. Or you only play a Squire Strat with £200. Or, you know. I gigged for several years with an Ibanez Geo 7-string guitar that cost me under 200 quid. My backup guitar was a Squire Affinity Telecaster that cost me 120. And I got really good results out of both of them. You know, so it's this mindset that more expensive is better, and that you can't make a cheap guitar better, which you can. You know, if something plays really well but doesn't sound so good, you can swap the pickups out. Instant win. You know, it's far easier to do that than to buy a more expensive guitar that still might not be what you want. And that's the approach I've taken. That I've taken a guitar that's comparatively cheap, comparatively affordable, and upgraded it sonically so that it sounds how I want. And I'm so used to the thing now, and had them 8 years or longer, that I'm not going to change them just because they're cheap. What's the point? I get the same point about amps. Okay, now there are some amps that are not gigging quality. Yeah, it may be, and particularly the cheaper end, kind of transistor amps and modelers and stuff. Yeah. Some people get great results out of them, don't get me wrong, but at the end of the day, guitarists for the past 60, 70 years can't be that wrong, can they? That valves sound better. So, but that doesn't mean you have to go out and buy a boutique, £3,000 valve amp, or you're somehow better if you have a $50,000 Dumble. What the hell? My amp rig, my head and 2 cabs are probably worth about £1,000 in the UK, which is decent money. I'm not saying it's something that you can go out and spend every weekend, but it's an investment, and it's investment in tone. And it's what works for me. And that is the biggest thing that I think really gets me down. People, I've had comments on YouTube saying, "No, you must suck. You're playing a cheap Ibanez, or you're using cheap gear." Well, if that's how you feel, then I really don't care. I really don't want to listen to you. It's not about the gear. It's nice having nice gear, don't get me wrong. But it's the same way as it's nice having good technique. But if you're not producing quality music, is it worth it? I don't think so. Okay, so I apologise this has been a bit of a negative video, but these are the two things that I see as the biggest problems in guitar playing, are this whole idea that technique and speed, and there's nothing wrong with technique, but technique and speed in particular are what makes you a guitar player, and having good gear makes you a better player. As long as your gear is not holding you back, then that's where we are. Okay guys, until next time, take care. See you soon.